Namaste. Welcome. So what is Kundalini energy? Alright. And what does its awakening means? This topic is quite sensitive because this is a stage when the practice, especially if you're doing and following the Hatha Yoga method, the asanas and the breathing works, would go beyond the physical. It will even go beyond the breath and the energy. Inevitably, as the practice goes deeper and deeper and deeper, there are some realms and aspects of our physical body inside, energetic body inside, which we never thought existed, will start to manifest. And one of them is the Kundalini energy. This is a sensitive topic because it affects many aspects of our lives, from the physical, emotional, mental, psychological, neurological, even could touch religious dogmas, spirituality of it. So my aim for this discussion is to just give you a general background of the process involved based on the Hatha Yoga method, which I could fully relate with because it's how it happened to me. There are many levels and ways of awakening and benefiting from this energy, but I cannot talk about them because I'm not too versed with the method. But it happened to me unexpectedly. I just enjoyed my practice. I enjoyed asanas. I enjoyed the breathing works. Then one day I felt it happened, but I didn't know it was Kundalini energy. I thought it was just an extension of my bandhas becoming strong, more developed. I thought it was just bandhas actually. It got even scared me. Why? Because I thought I got injured because I could feel like gushing sensation, gushing out and retracting back down the hips. I thought I was bleeding because it feels like that. It goes out and in, out and in. Right? Some elements are gushing in and out of the hips. And the sensation got bigger, stronger, and more profound. And at that time, I thought, or I was able to distinguish that it's not the bandhas. It's something really different, something separate from the bandhas, something separate even from the breath, because it feels like it has a mind of its own when that energy starts to flow up. All right, so Kundalini energy is an actual current. It's like electricity that when the hips become more sensitive and open. All right, so let me get my spine mobile. Yeah. So it's an actual current or electricity trapped around the fused and the tight spots of our hips. All right, particularly down the triangular bones of our hips. Yeah, the sacral region, the inner rims of the hips, yeah, along the fused bones and joints of our hips, and the low back, and the origin of the thigh bone or the head of the thigh bone. So those really fused joints and bones, which generally are tight and compact. Now, once they become more open and loose, the energy will flow out because it's that Kundalini energy is trapped along those fused joints. So for me, the how it happened, all right, because I was enjoying my asanas, my deep back bends, my deep hip openings, and I'm enjoying my bandhas as well because it makes my asana practice lighter, it makes my breath more flowing. So it was beneficial for me that time. So I kept exploring, I didn't know it was Kundalini. I kept exploring because it felt really beautiful. It makes you lighter, makes you healthier. Yeah, for me, because it was serving my purpose well until now. It's beautiful. But as this energy becomes more developed, becomes more open and flowing and abundant, it will take control of so many aspects of our practice, of our lives, on and outside the mat. It's something not the mind visualizes. It's never about visualization. It's never about the sound, although you will develop sounds later on in the practice. It's never about the colors. It's never about there are many dramatic and poetic things related or associated with this energy, but if you can ask me, it's never about them. You will be experiencing them, but only as radiance of this really potent actual sensation. It's really a sensation. It's as present as your hands rub your skin. It's as present as your pinching your body. It's as present as your blinking. It's as present as your breathing. But it's different. It's like an extra sensory ability that you will develop and harness later on. Going back, so this is mean that a person who's inherently flexible, especially around the hip region, will be able to develop and easily access the Kundalini energy. No, because Kundalini energy and how to process and develop it will require energetic strength and not merely flexibility. So even how complex a person can perform the asana, even how you bind your leg behind your head, even how deep your back bends are, it will not happen if we only trust our mere flexibility alone. Because looking back, the precursor of its awakening would depend primarily on the development and the strength of our energy locks, or the bandhas, especially the three primary locks: the Mula Bandha, the Root Lock, the Uddiyana Bandha, and the Jalandhara Bandha. Without these locks, the energy this Kundalini energy will just remain trapped and hidden along those fused joints, because the bandhas are the ones which harness, collect, and then later on direct the energy to flow out, because the bandhas would have their inevitable action inside of the body of drawing this sensation out. Right? Why? Because the Kundalini energy is restless. It feels actually heavy. And then for the person to alleviate that heaviness out of the hips, the bandhas would have to do their collective work of drawing the sensation up. Because as the energy, or as the Kundalini energy becomes more developed, you will also develop this heightened sensitivity of the internal blockages you're holding inside the body. Because as this energy flows out, it will actually hit those blockages inside the body, right? And for you to successfully dissolve the energy through this, or to dissolve the blockages through this energy, is for you to actually utilize the bandhas, aside from performing deep cleansing methods, which includes asanas and breathing works. Without us So this really goes side by side. Once the Kundalini energy flows out, it will not just rest there. It will assert its way out of those tiny or finely fused joints and bones of our hips. And for us to be able to draw that out of those tight spots, we will be utilizing the bandhas. Now, when the bandhas are successfully or could successfully throw that energy up already out of the hips, now the next, I would say, challenge is to allow the energy to rise up and then pass through the blockages of our energetic body. We call them Nadis. So when the Nadis are blocked, awakening this Kundalini energy could actually give more harm than good. So this is the point where the concept of internal cleansing, the Nadis, should be taken seriously. Right? Yes, you're able to develop your bandhas, you're able to draw and then feel the Kundalini energy, but there are deeper aspects of our energetic body which needs to be purified and cleansed and sorted out still, and that is that element is called the Nadis. So without us dissolving the blockages or loosening the blockages of our energetic body, which we hold inside our Nadis, and then you have this Kundalini energy trying to make her way upwards because the behavior of this energy is rising, and then you have blockages trapped along the Nadis of your energetic body. That's another problem, all right? Because once this Kundalini energy flows out, there's no going back. You have to sustain it, you have to manage it, you have to deal with it. And unless you do your cleansing work seriously, Kundalini energy could be burdensome. Right. So what are these cleansing elements I'm talking about? These are really deep ones which incorporate the elements of asanas. And when I mean asanas, there are deep ones as well. And not all asanas will do the work. Some specific ones, deep head openers, those where you really rotate your thigh bones more than externally and internally, more than the average range of motion, deep back bends, deep shoulder and joint stretches, and of course, more importantly, breathing work, especially the alternate nostril breathing with retention, kumbakas, breaths of fire. I then do some external tools to do my internal cleansing. I focus on the asanas and the breath. And we have to do it over and over again in one session. So for example, to give you an example of how I do my cleansing, I have to do my back bends, and I mean deep ones, many times over in one session. Kapotasana, Ekapada Kapotasana. And sometimes, most of the time, I do them more than 10 times in one session. 10 times of each. And can you just imagine how huge the responsibility and the task involved? And if you miss, for example, 1 or 2 days without those deep cleansing methods, your body will feel heavy because you're holding that energy there heavy and restless. And then here you are not doing your work of allowing her to flow out. That's problematic. So it involves huge tasks and responsibility. Right, so you have successfully allowed her to flow out, but that's only the initial stage. Because the next stage now is actually how to manage her more effectively, how to deal with this energy. And it will mean a lifelong commitment to the practice. Especially if you're taking the path of the Hatha Yoga method, which is the most potent way, the most powerful way of cultivating the Kundalini energy. Now, what if your body becomes weak? What if you're limited with your time because of other commitments and priorities? So Kundalini energy and the process of awakening it is something really serious. It's not like an asana that that looks fancy. I wanted to have that. I wanted to try that. No. Because once the energy, this Kundalini energy, start flowing up, it's not going back. It will really affect many aspects of your practice, your life, on and off the mat. It will necessitate and require changes of the way you deal with yourself, your physical activity, your diet, generally your lifestyle in general, and could even affect your relationships and how you deal with the world in general. But I'm not scaring you, because it's really beautiful. It's beautiful if it's serving your present state of spiritual, mental, and physical situation or circumstances. But if you just wanted to harness and develop it for the sake of having it, no. Because Kundalini energy should not be awakened before its time. Yeah, I cannot overemphasize that. All right? It's something that we should not seek and desire. Yeah, it's something that we just allow to happen. Yeah, and there's a huge possibility of being attached, actually. I will talk about that attachment later on. So it should happen organically. It should happen gracefully. Yeah, it's not something that we should seek and desire. Now, the next question is it necessary? All right. Now, my answer is a strong no. It's not necessary to live fully. It's not necessary to have a full practice, have a meaningful practice. We could all live a full life, happy life, without it. Because when you practice yoga, you're actually benefiting from its radiance already. And awakening this energy is no extra or no ordinary method. It's really something very serious. So when you practice your asanas, when you do your practice regularly, that's enough. Yeah, because inevitably, organically, you're already benefiting from the radiance of Kundalini, but it's not awakening itself. Awakening is an entirely different process. It's beautiful in the sense that its manifestations inside the physical body and the psychic body will allow you to realize many things and allow you to understand many things, or especially spiritual things life holds. Dogmas, which include religious dogmas that we stumble along the way. All of these spiritual things about life, religion included, will be much, much more realistic, will be much more appreciated, because there are energetic truths about all these dogmas. And then Kundalini energy will now allow you to understand the words of the wise, which are very poetic in nature, that are commonly misconstrued or misunderstood. And you will understand it from the very realistic perspective. Something that you can really relate with personally, because you will directly experience all the things that they've written about the spirituality of life. All right. So my take is this: the safest path, if you consider awakening yours, is to start with your physical body. Because through that, you will realize that it's never about the beautiful words. It's never about the drama and the poetic aspect of this concept, but it's something that has energetic significance. It's something that the body, the physical body, the breath, the mind would fully relate with, because it's an actual experience. The downside of developing the Kundalini energy through the physical body is that it will require a lifelong commitment of doing all the elements to be able for us to keep that energy flowing lightly, to serve the purpose of cleansing both the external, internal, structural and energetic realms of our body through asanas, breathing. So the downside is, what if the body becomes weak? So where does that leave you? In pain, and discomfort, because this energy is really heavy, and the body goes weak, but this energy grows stronger and stronger over time. So yes, it's beautiful in a way that it's inspiring. It's not so beautiful because it will require, and attached to it, are huge responsibilities for us to sustain it, to deal with it, to manage it. But most important amongst all these concepts and principles I've been talking about, this Kundalini energy, especially the process of rising her up, could be very addicting. It could cause attachment to the process, because there's this one aspect of its awakening that is very euphoric. And I mean euphoric. When it happened to me, it just happened. Like, I was doing my meditation stillness, and she rushed up through my head, and there the energy fills my brain inside, that I felt like, ooh, really euphoric. I started spinning around. I could feel my consciousness leave out of my body. I could see my physical body lying down, doing my meditation while my consciousness spins around and go places. Trance. And this is just the beginning, actually, in the trance. The more you explore the meditative side of it, when you're lifting, using the bandhas, your energy up towards the head, it's never ending. Like, oh, you experience trance today, the following session you will experience another deep dimension. And it's never ending. I don't want to be discussing too much about this, because it could mean danger for the unready mind, because it will require you to literally stop the breath. And it could cause attachment. Right? And this is a stage where the spirituality or the nature of the person should also be considered. Right? Because since it's an electricity, it's an actual electricity going up inside our brain. And then if that person, for example, has or suffering from cardiovascular neurological conditions, which necessitate or which might be counterindicated for, like for example, if that person is not recommended to do intense breathing works, if that person, for example, has neurological conditions, for example, epilepsy or any psychological imbalance, since this is an actual energy you are lifting up to your brain inside, it may damage your neurons and it could cause temporary psychosis. It might even aggravate or make the emotional imbalances or psychological imbalances of the person worse. And that's dangerous. Since lifting the energy up to reach to your brain will require you to literally stop your breath, kumbakas. It may hurt your internal organs. It might cause the person to collapse. So many dangerous side of the process of lifting this energy up. Because as I mentioned, this is an actual electricity running through our nadis, our channels inside the brain. Although when you allow that energy to just rest here, this part of your spine, the heart, it's manageable. Because that's where all the inspiration will be coming from. But the moment you feel it, the moment you experience the trance, it can be addictive. So yes, once or twice, 3 times maybe, but it should not be the end goal of the process. Kundalini is so inspiring because it really brings about this peace, inner peace, calm, spiritual happiness, and that's when you're gonna draw your inspiration from. If you're a teacher, you will be drawing your inspiration from that happy feeling, inner peace, to teach your student, but not really teach them how to awaken their Kundalini. It's like you just translate the process in a way that is more general, so they benefit from your lessons, from your teachings. But if the goal is to actually do the trance every time you do the meditation, it's not the healthy path. I guess I tell you, there's nothing there. It's just like a trance, a euphoric experience. The beauty of Kundalini is the realization it brings about for our life in general. The understanding of the spiritual aspects of our existence. And then translate it to your lessons, how you deal with your community in general, to yourself in general. You acknowledge now the beauty of each and every one of us, not just your family and friends, but even the strangers around you. You will appreciate now the beauty of life in general and the purpose of our existence. Yeah. So, yes, Kundalini Awakening should be taken seriously. It's beautiful, but it's not for everyone. Right? So my advice is just enjoy your practice. If it happens, then it's meant to happen. It's the greater self that planned it for you, and not us planning it the other way. Right? So yes, just enjoy it. Never be attached. Never be too curious. It's something that beautiful but it's a dark world. It's really dark world, and when I say dark, it could be dangerous. All right, so yep, so that's our topic. Yes, hope you learned something from that one. I'll see you next time for the next lesson. Namaste.